everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning. It's good to be with you guys, whether you're joining us right here on our Kirkland campus, or maybe you're at home on the couch and we are getting to just come into your living room.
Yeah.
Welcome to our living room. Maybe we're in the car. Wherever you are, we are so glad that you're here with us.
Definitely. And if you do happen to be joining us online, we would love to, know where you're from. So say hi in the chat. Just be friends with our host. And feel free to share that stream because I know a friend of yours needs to see today. So share that. But
it's going to be a good week.
It is.
And we know there's so many of you guys who are maybe joining us for the first time, either in person or watching online. And we would love to connect with you. And we made it super easy. If you have a phone or know how to use a phone. If you don't know how to use a phone, we got some other stuff to talk about. But if you have a phone, open that up, open up your text message, and just text Northshore to 97,000. Our team would love to connect with you. There's so much happening around campus we don't want you to miss out on. And so take an opportunity.
Yeah. It's super easy.
It's super easy. And fun because you get connected with someone on campus who would just love to talk with you and know more of your story. So do that if it's your first time. And regardless if it's your first time or not, there are some exciting things coming up that got announced, I believe, last week. Did you hear the news?
What was it?
It was literally breaking news. News ain't boop, 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 boop. It was great. Big deal. Got me off the couch
Good
when I was
sound effect,
I know, right?
Okay, so big news.
Yeah, you're like, get back on track here. Big news is Sunday, June 13th. We have some gathering time changes. And so our online crew and our Kirkland campus crew are all coming together for 2 services at 9 and 10:30 a.m.
Yeah.
And that starts June 13th.
Yeah.
Moving forward.
And just those 2. And here we go, 9 and 10:30. Yeah,
It's
awesome.
gonna be awesome. And in addition to that, there's some other really sweet stuff coming. So on June 13th specifically, if you come to our Kirkland campus here, you're gonna get some church, some spiritual food.
Come on.
Ooh.
And
some real food. Because we're gonna have some food trucks. You like that tie-in?
yeah,
there?
really good. Yeah.
We're gonna have some food trucks on campus, as well as you can get your fix of caffeine.
I heard that too.
Because
that's exciting.
Coffee is coming back.
Yep. That's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
So food trucks, coffee, new service times.
Yeah.
What a great, I mean, whether you've been here a lot or it's it's a great time to come.
Yeah.
So
and the coffee's really good. I love Northshore coffee.
Yeah, it is. It's got a special place.
So special place in my heart. So that's coming up June 13th, which really I view as this kind of mental kickoff to warmer days ahead. Sunnier, warmer days, beautiful weather, sunshine, which I know a lot of us that live in the Pacific Northwest, a lot of stuff happens.
It's a special time.
It is. It's just a special like 3 days that summer is. That's a big deal in your world. We didn't even introduce ourselves.
That's awkward.
That is awkward.
Okay.
If you're joining us, my name is Stephen Bolt. Again, I'm Director of Weekend Experience here. And
I'm Cody Pepper, and I lead our student ministry. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, I know.
So now that we've done this, it is a big deal in my world. I get to work with middle school and high school students, and we kick off summer right after that. But let me tell you about something real quick, because before we start summer, we close out our final midweek of the year. Midweek is what we do. We love it every week. It's amazing.
It's a ton of fun.
And so on June 2nd, though, it's our last midweek of the semester, and we're going to throw a little midweek party, okay? So, wow.
That was the littlest amount of confetti, I think.
You're right.
A lot of noise, a little confetti.
This much right here. I don't know. But it's going to be amazing. We're going to have a lot of fun just celebrating our student ministry being back in person. We are having a ton of new people join us. And it's so good to see students worshiping Jesus every week on our campus and online as well. But that's on June 2nd. And then, Stephen, let me tell you about what's happening, though, because June 13th, we kick off as a church, and the following Wednesday for us, we are starting what we call, really good branding, ready? Summer midweeks, which are themed. We have a lot of fun. In the past, we've turned our worship center into a laser tag arena. We've had just ice cream and milkshakes and food trucks everywhere, just all kinds you want to come to every summer midweek. You're invited, you can come, but it's going to be amazing. And I'm trying to think. Yeah, it's just a good time.
Yeah, and there's some stuff not only coming up for students, but
That's a good point. Because, hold on, I'm going to cut you off. We love summer. Okay, the next gen loves summer. We've got amazing middle school and high school camps coming your way, but awesome things are coming for kids ministry as well. Yeah. Justin Smith, our next gen pastor, sent in a video describing one of these awesome experiences for your kids if they're in grade school that they can be a part of.
And he's joining us live.
Oh, wait, yeah. Justin, what's that?
Live from the lawless swampland that is Florida. Let's go to Justin.
Yeah.
Hey guys, it's Pastor Justin, and I'm super excited about Summer Jam coming up on July 12th. It's gonna be a week packed full of activities, videos, games. It's gonna be incredible. And the best part is, it's in your own backyard. And the reason why we're doing that is because we wanna give you an opportunity to invite your neighbors, your friends, those who wouldn't typically come to church, to experience Jesus in an incredible way with you, with your kids, with family. So don't forget to register for Summer Jam, and we'll see you in July.
Well, thank you, Justin. Yeah, we have a lot of awesome stuff coming up for students, for kids. But really, like, the reason we do these things is because kids and students' lives are being changed forever because of Jesus. And it's amazing to be on the front lines here and just to see people connect with God, to see them connect with friends and jump back in after, a uniquely hard season. It's been so good. Yeah. So don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions. You can find all that information on our website at northshore.church/connect, or you can even come find me at the guest services table after the service. I'd love to meet you and help you find a way where your student and your kids could connect. So yeah. So good.
A lot of exciting stuff coming up. And once again, if you're just joining us, just tuned in, I want to introduce ourselves. My name is Stephen Bolt.
I'm Cody Pepper.
And if this is your first time joining us, whether you're in person here on our Kirkland campus or joining us from anywhere online, we are so excited that you're choosing to spend some time with us today. And we would absolutely love to connect with you. So you can take a second right now and just text Northshore to 97,000. One of our team would, again, just love to chat with you. If you are on our Kirkland campus, obviously feel free, come out to the guest service table. Cody will be out there.
I will.
He would love to meet you.
Yeah.
Say hello. Tell you a really funny joke.
It's true.
He's got a lot of those on speed dial. So make sure you come on out, say hi to us. We'd love to connect with you. And this is our last week of our series, I Can Relate, yeah?
Yeah, so it's been an awesome time to be able to look through this together, and I'm excited for today. It's got an awesome experience just for you, and, wanted to, before we jump in this morning, to take you back last week when Wolfgang was teaching, and we've got a little clip to show you. So let's check this out.
See, this isn't about trying not to do bad things. It's about instead focusing on good things. Those little decisions that take us closer and closer to what God has in mind. Because what you feed grows and what you starve dies. So start with some of those positive things, those habits, those rhythms, those routines. Draw close to God. Go on the offense. Get into the Word. Learn to pray. Show up. Worship with passion. Love your family. Serve others. Discover generosity. Whatever it is, all of these things, that's going on offense instead of playing defense.
Well, Wolfgang, thank you so much again for that amazing message last week. And the good news is we get to hear from him again this week.
Oh, yes. What a treat. Always awesome. And speaking of, I think it's just about time for us to jump in together. So again, thank you for joining us and welcome to Northshore.
Well, good to see everyone. Welcome to Northshore. We're going to have a good day together. Welcome if you're in this room or joining us online. Hey, let's all stand together and worship Jesus. Be encouraged by these words. Now the darkness fades in a new beginnings as we lift our eyes to a hope beyond. All creation waits with an expectation to declare the reign of the Lord our God. wherever you find yourself today, whatever's on your mind, we can sing this next part with hope. So sing this together. He shall reign. He shall reign forever. Strongholds now surrendered for the Lord. Our God has overcome. Who can be against us? Jesus, our defender. He is Lord, and He has overcome. He shall reign forever. Strongholds now surrendered for the Lord. Our God has overcome. Who can be against us? Jesus, our defender. He is Lord, and He has overcome. We will not be moved when the earth gives way, for the risen one is overcome. Yeah, and for every fear, there's an empty grave, for the risen one is overcome. We will not be moved when the earth gives way, for the risen one is overcome. And for every fear, there's an empty grave, for the risen one is overcome. Yeah, yeah. Oh, Jesus, you open the grave.
All my life is in your hands, and this whole world may hold me down, but it can never drown you. I'm not merely flesh and I was made for something more. You are God, you're the great I am. Breath of life I breathe.
that truth together, that we are alive in Christ because of his sacrifice on the cross. That's so good. Man, just think about that. We're alive not because of anything that we've done or could possibly do, but simply because God loved us enough to give his own life so that we could be in relationship with him. That's so wild that there's a God that loves you that much. That's crazy. But that reminds me of a verse in Romans, and it says this: when we were utterly hopeless, Christ came at just the right time and died for us sinners. And we see it time and time and time again in scripture or in our own lives where there's this exchange that happens when we're in relationship with God. That we bring him our brokenness, we bring him our shame, we bring him all of those negative things. And in turn, he gives us life. In turn, he gives us joy, he gives us peace, he gives us freedom because he's that good. And so you know what it is that you're holding on to today. Maybe you have fear, maybe you have your own doubts, but I just want to encourage you today. You can exchange that for God's joy today. You can exchange it for his peace. You can exchange it for his wisdom, because he will freely give it to you. So this song that we're gonna sing, it talks about that. It says he brings beauty from ashes. He turns shame into glory, seas into highways. And they're not just metaphorical things that we're singing about. No, our God did those things, and he's doing those things in real time. He wants to do it in your life. So for this next song, it's a celebratory song. It says there's nothing better than you. Nothing. And so let's sing this song out together with smiles on our faces, masked or unmasked. Let's just celebrate that truth today, that our God, there's nothing better than him. And he's so amazing. So let's sing together.
I searched the world, but it couldn't fill me. And man's empty praise, treasures that fade are never enough. Then you came along, put me back together. Every desire is now satisfied here in your love. And oh, there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing better than you. Lord, there's nothing, nothing is better than you. No, I'm not afraid to show
so good to be able to do this together, isn't it? I love Sundays. You guys can go ahead and have a seat. I'm so glad that you're here. My name is Cody. I'm on the team here, and we're just glad that you're joining us today. Oh, it's good. I'm so excited. If you happen to be new, we would love to get to know you a little bit better, and the best way to do that is really by pulling out your phone right now and by texting Northshore to 97000. Or if you happen to be with us in person, you could go out to our guest services table right outside of the service, and we would love to just figure out maybe what some next steps are or a way for you to get connected a little bit better and just jump into community here at Northshore and see what that's all about. But part of what I do here is that I am on the next gen team, which means I get to work with students. And it goes without saying that this past year has been an extremely unique and weird time for all of us, but especially students, as we figured out what it looks like to socially distance and do online school and all of the things and plans that just change. But from my point of view, I want to share with you guys, it's been incredible to be back in person as we've been doing all kinds of things lately, like our midweek activities, or starting to celebrate and honor our graduating seniors and their families, or we've got a full summer lineup of exciting camps and weekly activities that students don't want to miss out on. But here's the thing, it's so good, and we do all of these things because we know that God created us to be in community. And it is better when we are together. And so if you happen to know a student, or if maybe you haven't been connected yet in a while, we would love to have you join us for any and all of those things. And if you don't know how to find that out, again, I'll be out by the guest services table after the service, or you can go online to northshore.church/connect, and you can find all that information out. But we just want to be able to really dive into what God has for all of us in community here. And so it's great. And I kind of look around this room and I can see some leaders that I want to say thank you to, because so many of you invest your time and invest your hearts and your lives into what students are doing here. And so many of you are also a part of the story in ways that maybe you don't even think about it, because as you give your finances here and how generous you are, of how you can do those things, and how as we share our time and we share our money, it's crazy to see what God can do with something as simple as that, right? Like the little bit of resources that we have, God can multiply and make eternal impact on students' lives. And that's what I'm seeing week in and week out. And so thank you for being a part of that. And if you haven't ever done that before, I would encourage you to take that step and just see what God can do. But again, we have an amazing morning. We're just getting started. And so Wolfgang's gonna come out with a great message. But before we do that, check out this video.
Northshore Church, hello, this is Pastor Eugene Cho. And I'm just hanging out in the epic, beautiful Pacific Northwest that we all call home. And I am so excited that I get to be preaching at your church on June 6th. Online, but guess what? Also in person, in the flesh. So hope to see you there. I'm going to be teaching about Jesus, discipleship, perseverance, and fishing. See you then. Bye-bye.
Now, Eugene hasn't told us whether he's bringing the fish or what the plan is exactly, but you will not want to miss that next week. We're so excited to have him back, and very glad to have you here with us too, whether you're here on our Kirkland campus or whether you are joining us online. It is so great to have you. Thank you for being part of this experience. My name is Jonathan Wolfgang. I'm part of the team here, and excited to get to wrap up this series that we have been in over these last several weeks. Before I get into that, though, let me say, as we all know, of course, this is Memorial Day weekend here in the U.S., which is that time that we just stop to remember how incredibly blessed we are to live where we live, and to say thank you and to recognize those who have literally given the ultimate sacrifice, given their lives in service to our country, just to create a place where we can have the freedoms that we enjoy. And yeah, we've got our issues as a nation, but I wouldn't want to live anywhere else. And I'm so glad for that. And so we recognize that. Hope you have a chance to remember that this weekend. But of course, for a lot of other folks, Memorial Day is also sort of the unofficial opening of summer. Of course, that's not true up here in the Northwest. As nice as it is out there, it's just playing with us. You know that. because it's not really till 4th of July, right? That's when summer really starts. Those of us who lived in the Northwest remember this for a while. We have a few more weeks of gray, I'm sure. But in the spirit of trying to get into the summer, I wore my summeriest shirt today, as you can see. Some of you are wondering, what in the world is he wearing? I haven't heard a word you said. Yeah, thank you. I'm not sure if you like my shirt or you're glad I finally said something about it. But this shirt isn't just about summer. It's inspired by a scene from a television show I have a hunch you might be familiar with. Anybody like The Office? You ever watch The Office? Yeah, huge Office fans. Many of you online probably into that as well. I've got several kids, of course, and my youngest, my 14-year-old, she loves The Office. She records the episodes. She watches them on Comedy Central, absolutely loves the show. And I wonder, do you have a favorite character? Just in the chat, if you're online, you can put your favorite character in there. Maybe those of us that are here, Michael, are you a Michael fan? Maybe some Michael fans. Or maybe you love the romantic tension between Jim and Pam. It was always never the same when they finally got together. It was more fun before that. Or maybe, like me, you're a Dwight fan, right? Yes, who doesn't love Dwight? Played by Rainn Wilson, a native Northwesterner. Crazy story, I actually ran into him in Haiti one time, but that's a whole nother story. I'll tell you some other time. Or here's the last guy, Kevin, right? Lovable, clumsy Kevin, the guy from accounting who, let's be honest, isn't necessarily the smoothest guy in the world, but in one of the little cold opens of the show, in just a little 35-second clip, we learn something interesting about Kevin that most people wouldn't know about him. For all of his weaknesses, there's one thing Kevin's really good at. Those who are fans, do you know what I'm talking about? His chili. Kevin makes amazing chili. And one day he decides to bring it, to share it with his coworkers, and take a look what happens.
At least once a year, I like to bring in some of my Kevin's famous chili. The trick is to undercook the onions. Everybody is going to get to know each other in the pot. I'm serious about this stuff. I'm up the night before, pressing garlic and dicing whole tomatoes. I toast my own ancho chilies. It's a recipe passed down from Malone's for generations. It's probably the thing I do best.
Oh, I know. I don't care how many times I've seen that. Did your heart just break for poor Kevin, right? Well, here's the deal. This shirt is inspired by that scene, all right? And there's a close-up of it for those of you who are having trouble seeing. Kevin with his Malone family recipes and all these kinds of things. I saw this when we were first planning this series and thought, I need to have that. And so I bought it. And I'm not sure how many times I'll wear it in my life, but at least I'm wearing it today, right? Anyway, why did I even bring that up? I don't remember. Oh, I know why. It's because you watch a scene like that, and as brief as it is, it sticks with you. Because every one of us knows how that feels, don't we? Every one of us has been in a situation with something we're excited about, we're proud of, that we're looking forward to, that we have our hopes up for, only to see it spill all over the floor, or to break, or to not go as we imagined. Whether it's in our relationships, whether it's in our professional lives, whether it's in our physical health, whatever it might be. And we've been talking about these kinds of things in this series, I Can Relate, that sometimes stuff doesn't go well and we all have experienced it. But what I want to do today to finish this series is talk about one more thing that I know we can all relate to, some to a greater degree than others. But it's something that's been particularly hard for so many of us over these last 15 months of the pandemic. And it's this. See if you can relate to this. The frustration that comes with being unable to control what's happening in our lives. I mean, I'm sure I'm not the only one in this room who sometimes wrestles with a desire to just control stuff. In fact, just as sort of a show of hands, those of you who are online, you can confess this as well, and those of us here in the room, how many would say there's some area of your life where you even need to be in control? Anyone? Raise them high, hold them up, be proud. Don't be proud, but be honest, let's say that. If you find yourself wanting to raise the hand of the person next to you, you have that control problem, all right? In fact, I'm glad you're here today. Jesus can set you free, all right? Because all of us battle with control at some level in our lives. Maybe it's at work. Some of you are like, do it my way, my time, because if you don't, I'll do it myself. Maybe you work for someone like that. Maybe you are someone like that. Maybe it's at home. Some of you are control freaks. Everything has to be perfectly in its place. It is to be done your way. Don't touch that, leave that there, whatever it is. Maybe it's when it comes to certain people. You want your kids to do just what you want them to do. If you don't do it, I'm going to ground you till you're 30, right? Or something like that. Could be your spouse. If you don't do this, I'm going to withdraw something special from you, or I'm going to threaten this or that, whatever it is. We all have areas we like to be in control. For some people, it's when they're driving. I know people who cannot be in a car unless they're driving. Sitting in the passenger seat, letting somebody else be in control of the vehicle is just too much for them to handle. It makes them crazy. And of course, there's the famous struggle that happens in every house around the remote, what? Control, right? The power. I see pointing and elbowing. Friends, let me do my work up here. Don't do that, all right? No elbowing or pointing at this point. Because all of us know about this stuff. We know about this stuff. We hate to feel out of control. And I don't know about you, but I've been feeling way out of control over these last 15 months. Hasn't it been hard? I mean, struggling to plan, hard to know what's going to happen, hard to know who or what to believe, hard to know what's safe and what's not safe. Hard to know what to do. That's why so many people, all the suffering from the disease itself aside, so many people are so eager to put this behind us just to regain some sense of control over their everyday lives. But see, this pandemic has reminded us again, friends, of what an illusion control is. How little control we really do have in our lives. I felt it. One of the wonderful benefits that Northshore offers our ministry staff is a sabbatical. And after 7 years of service in ministry here, our overseers give our ministry staff a week per year of service to step away, to rest, to refresh, to relax, recharge for another season of ministry. It's an incredible benefit that is such a blessing to our ministry staff and to their families. Well, tomorrow, literally, May 31st, marks 10 years since I joined the staff here at Northshore, which I'm very excited about. But yeah, well, that's kind of you to say. Thank you. We made it this far. And for a bunch of reasons, I did not get to take my sabbatical back when I hit that 7-year mark. There was a lot happening in that season. So I had planned to take my sabbatical last summer and laid out an incredible plan of all sorts of interesting travel, seeing friends in different parts of the world. I had flights and reservations and hotels and tours and all sorts of wonderful things lined up, leaving the end of May through early August, and then COVID. And you may remember, last May was not a great time to be traveling, particularly internationally. And so I went through several weeks of canceling plans, requesting refunds, sometimes in other languages. I felt like Kevin with his pot of chili on the floor, I'll be perfectly honest. But on the bright side, while I had to postpone it, I don't have to postpone it much longer. And I'm very thankful that I will be taking my sabbatical this year. In fact, it starts in about 45 minutes. All right? No kidding. Not even that long. No. I'm cutting parts of this talk. It's 30 minutes and I'm out of here, all right? 30 minutes. Not that anyone's counting, of course. You understand. But as soon as I finish speaking this weekend, I'm headed to the car and we're off for some time, which I'm very excited about, obviously. And again, let me say, what an incredible blessing from the leadership and from you as a church family to our ministry staff. My family is grateful and we're looking forward to the time together. And here's the funny thing. Even though I'm so close to this thing starting, there are still parts of my plan I have no idea what's going to happen. Places I'm hoping to go, I'm still not even sure I'm going to be able to get into. Because that's the way it is right now. And you know what that's about. Not the sabbatical or the travel thing. Frankly, for some people, it's far more serious or important than that. And it's so hard because we like to be in control. As much as we joke about it with remote controls and whatever else, the issue of control is a huge issue in our lives. Because this isn't just about personality or wiring. This issue of control is at its core a spiritual issue. It's a reflection, it can be, of a really big spiritual problem or struggle in our lives. Because here's what we're trying to do in some area of our life. We're trying to be like God. Let's just call it. I want to control because I know what's best. It's trying to be like God. And it's exhausting, isn't it? Anybody tried it? I think it's why so many people just seem so tired right now. Why? Because we've been trying so hard to control everything in our lives when the truth is we can't. That we're not in control. So as we finish up this I Can Relate series, I want to talk very directly about the struggle we all deal with, the struggle between surrender and control. Now, I know when you hear the word surrender, you typically don't think of good things, right? I mean, surrender means to give up. It means to fail. It means to raise the white flag and be defeated. But just let me be very upfront about what I hope to do today. I hope that I'll be able to help you discover that learning to surrender is really the only sustainable way to live, the only joy-filled way to live. That there's a freedom that comes with surrender that will make all the difference in whether your life will be characterized by stress and frustration and exhaustion, or whether your life will be filled with joy and peace. Surrender is the key. It's the foundation of what faith is all about. You've heard me say this before. There are two great realizations in life. If you get these two figured out, everything else begins to fall into place. You know what they are? The first is, there is a God, and the second is, you're not him. All right? There is a God, and you're not him. And as soon as you begin to lock into that truth, everything begins to change. Many people are good with the first one. But the second one involves surrender. It involves acknowledging there's a power greater than us. And that scares some people. That frightens. To surrender is scary because they're afraid that if they surrender, especially spiritually speaking, that they'll somehow lose their identity. They'll become kind of mindless church robots because we want to be independent, right? We love our freedoms. Surrender means giving up some freedom, we think. I mean, if I surrender, does that mean they're gonna turn me into a monk or a nun or a pastor, something awful, like that? But listen to what Jesus said in Matthew 16, verse 25. It's here on the screen. It said, "Whoever wants to save their life will lose it, but whoever loses their life for me will find it." Jesus says this is all backward from how you think it works. The harder you try to cling and control to your life, the more you'll find it slipping through your fingers. But if you'd be willing to just surrender, if you give your life to me, I will lead you to the life I have in mind. A life rooted in something deeper than whether the circumstances are good or bad. It'll be rooted in a rock. The Bible calls God our rock. Because here's the truth about it. Your experience of life will either be dependent on your circumstances and how people treat you and so forth, or it will be dependent on God. Either way, you're dependent on the circumstances, what happens to you, or on God. And the truth, the promise, the hope of Scripture is that while circumstances change, metaphors of sand are used. You remember those stories Jesus told? Metaphors of rock are used for God. He can be counted on. There's a God and you're not him. And that God can be trusted, so surrender. Surrender. Put your life in his hands instead of trying to hold on to it yourself. Now, this isn't easy, I know, because like you, maybe you've tried to do that, only to pick it right back up again. I try to surrender my kids. I try to surrender my family. I try to surrender my finances, my desires, whatever it is. I try to surrender it, and I leave it there for a little while, but then I pick it back up because I'm not sure God's doing such a great job. And I forget truth too. I'm not God. I can't control it. So to finish this message, I want to get super practical about some questions I hope you'll be able to remember that you can use when you find yourself in that surrender and unsurrendering moment in your life. To think through these areas and what it looks like to sustain surrender instead of trying to hold on to control in our lives. And I want to do it in some sense, by looking at one of the most famous verses of the Bible. I mean, if you were to put together a short list of maybe the 5 or 6 most well-known scriptures in all the Bible, this would probably be one of them. I memorized this as a little kid. Many of us have taught us to our kids. Some of you probably know it. Generally, if there's a song that sings a verse, it's a well-known verse. And this is one of those, okay? Here's the passage. It's out of Proverbs chapter 3, verses 5 and 6. Some of you know this by heart, but it is so hard to live. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. There is a God and you're not him. So trust him, not just in certain areas, but with all your heart. And then this part that's particularly hard for me. Lean not on your own understanding. Because of course, I think I know better. I have a plan. I have a strategy. I know how to solve this. I got it. The writer of Proverbs says, no, don't lean there. Don't count on that. In all your ways, not just the religious or spiritual ones, in all your ways, submit to him. Other translations say acknowledge him. It's recognizing him as being superior. In all your ways, acknowledge or submit to him. And what happens? He will make your path straight. Not you will straighten out your path. Not you'll get there and be fine. He will make your path straight. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not on your own understanding. In every way, submit to him, and he will make your path straight. Now, here's the problem. You've probably seen it in your life, like I've seen it in mine. The more I try to control, the more I cling to this, leaning on my own understanding, the more things feel out of control. And the more things feel out of control, what do? I try harder to control more. And this cycle begins. Losing control, trying to regain control. This fear sets in because I'm saying, God, I've got this. I want to control this. I've got this, God. But let's just be honest. Hasn't this last year plus taught us? We don't got this. No matter how smart or how rich or how strong we are, we cannot control the things that happen in our lives. It's exhausting. Because we try to force issues. We try to take things on ourselves. Parents try it with their kids. There's even a word for it. You know the term, helicopter parents, that just sort of hover and watch their kid, want to make sure they're always safe and protected. Little Timmy's got a science paper. Well, if he doesn't get an A, he might not get that perfect 4.0 that will get him into the school of his dreams. So I'll help him with that paper because I don't want him to have to struggle himself. Oh, you want to go get the mail? Before you go, honey, put on your helmet. Make sure you strap on your knee pads, right? Got to protect, got to control. I actually read this in the Huntington Post. It's an article from several years ago, actually. It's shocking to me. Of recent college graduates, 8% actually bring one of their parents with them to job interviews. Can you imagine? 8%. Just a little job search tip there, all right? If you're interviewing for a job, leave mom in the car, all right? Now, it's cool. She drove you there, whatever works, okay? But leave her in the car, all right? Don't take her in. Hire mom or fire mom, I'm not sure which one. It's not just parents. It's our dating lives. It's our financial lives. It's our work lives. We try to control. We want to have control. That impulse to be God. So again, I want to get very practical with this. There are probably a number of areas where you struggle with this like I do. But bring to mind one area that you're trying to control right now in your life. You may even want to write it down. I don't know if you have anything to write with. Maybe you have a phone, you can make a little note. Those of you who are watching online, you're a little easier. Maybe you can scribble this down. Just be honest about it. What is something that you are trying to control? You're trying to control your kids? Are you trying to control your grown kids, if you're in that season of life? Are you trying to control your grown kids' kids? Because you're not happy with how your kids are raising your grandkids? Are you trying to control your finances, your job future, your future education, your spouse, your image? What is it you're trying to control? Chances are there's something, and think of it now. Now, if you don't want to write it down or bring it to mind, you're just proving my point, right? He can't tell me what to do. I'm in control, right? Right? I got it. This message is for you, okay? This message is for you. We're going to ask ourselves, is this something that is really mine to control, or is this something that I am supposed to trust to the Lord with all of my heart, lean not on my own understanding, but in all my ways submit to him and let him make my path straight? I'm going to choose surrender over control in this specific area. Because in so many different areas of my life that I'm wrongly trying to control, I want to make this decision. It's not going to happen by accident. And to do this, I came across some questions that another pastor was talking about a similar subject. A guy named Craig Rochelle at a church in Oklahoma. He brought 3 questions that I thought helped bring clarity to this, and I got these from him. Clarity when it comes to surrender or control. And they're actually sort of echo what's known as the serenity prayer. Maybe you've heard that before. It's popular in a number of different circles. Here's what it is. Maybe you've heard it. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. You've seen that before. Wildly popular. Grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Now, obviously, these words are not in the Bible, but the ideas of them, the concept of surrender that is so clearly woven throughout Scripture undergirds that whole prayer. And so I want to ask some questions that help get some clarity around those different categories. Here's the first question. You ready? First question is it worth my concern? That thing you want to control. Is it worth your concern? In other words, there are so many things that we want to control that we get so upset about that frankly aren't worth it. So many examples in our own lives. I don't know what your house is like. At my house, we have 5 people living there, 3 teenagers, my wife and I, which means 5 phones that require charging. So we have issues around chargers. Anybody else have charger issues at their house? Yes, a few, handful of you, yes. It seems as though whatever day it is, I will wake up in the morning and having charged my phone overnight next to my bed, I'll leave, go about my business for the day. And when I return at night back to my bed, I discover the little elves have whisked away my charger. Does this happen at your house too? Who knows where they are? So we buy more chargers, but they mysteriously disappear too. Now, when I discover that naked outlet next to the bed, right? I've got to decide. I do need to charge my phone, of course. But is this really worth getting worked up about? Sometimes yes, but not all the time, right? Is that something worth it or not? See, here's what I've learned, and this may sound silly, but I will sometimes lose my cool over a charger and blast somebody I care about and claim to love because it's not where I thought it should be. Again, I'm probably the only person, but that's just the truth about me. And this is something I've learned about relationships. You can have control or you can have intimacy. You can't have both. And the problem is sometimes we're getting so worked up about things that really aren't that big a deal, and it is wreaking havoc on our relationships. Because it's not worth it. I have to ask myself, is this worthy of my concern? Is this that big of a deal? And it is petty things, but sometimes it's bigger things. Do I have to control how they vote? Do I have to control what news channel they watch? It can be little things. Does it really matter how they fold the towels? Isn't it dumb, the stuff that we get wrapped up in? But is it worth my concern? And for some, we just need to let some stuff slide. And again, don't elbow the person next to you. Just look forward, pretend you don't know what I'm talking about, all right? Is it worth my concern? Is it really worth getting that upset over? Ask yourself that, because you're hurting your relationships to make a point about something that doesn't matter. Second question we're going to ask, is it mine to control? Is it mine to control? Is it something that I should do something about? Because honestly, sometimes the answer is yes. I mean, you know, right? God won't do everything for you. God wants you to actually take some responsibility yourself. There's a big difference between surrendering control and relinquishing responsibility, right? For example, if you've got issues financially, you don't just sit around saying, okay, God, magically make money come into my checking account. God's gonna say, I've given you something already. It's called hands and feet. Get to work. Don't spend so much. Perhaps a second job if necessary. Do something about it. If your marriage is in trouble, you don't magically pray that things will get better. You take steps to make it better. You suggest possibly seeking counseling, maybe connecting with some other people in life group or other context where you can learn from each other how to grow in these ways. If your child is making bad decisions, you can be available to your child. You can build a bridge and make sure lines of communication are open. You do what it takes. You do what you can do in those situations. Because there's some things you should do. So ask yourself honestly, is this mine to control? If it is, then do something about it. Don't make excuses or pass the buck. But if it's not, then we're going to ask ourselves a third question. What are the big questions? Remember them again. Is this worth my concern? Is it mine to control? And then the third question, is it for God alone? Is this for God alone? Is this one of those things that I'm trying desperately to control, but it's not mine to control? This one is for me to surrender to God alone. The Apostle Paul is talking a bit about this struggle with surrender and the anxiety that comes with it in Philippians chapter 4. Again, a well-known text. He's chained to a Roman guard in house arrest. And here he is in prison. He writes these amazingly powerful words. Here's what he said. Do not be anxious about anything. Just a quick, anybody been anxious this week about anything? Yeah, I was. As excited as I am about the sabbatical, to be perfectly honest, the last week has been hectic. Trying to tie up every little loose end. There's some stuff that just didn't get done, and it won't get done. He says, don't be anxious about it. Don't be anxious about anything. But in every situation, like every, the Greek word there means every, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. Bring it to Him. In every situation. And sometimes I think we sort of insult God by saying things like, well, now all we can do is pray, right? And you just wondered if God ever hears that and says, wow, you really are in trouble. Like if all you've got left is access to the almighty creator of the universe, you are up the creek, No. Prayer is our first option. Don't insult God by saying, hey, I've exhausted every other, I guess now I'll turn to prayer, right? Prayer is the first line of offense. What can we do? We can always pray. We can always pray. The scriptures say we can go boldly before His throne of grace. We have access to God. He hears our prayers. That's why we go with thanksgiving, because He gives a rip. He actually cares. He actually cares. So we go to Him with our needs. We go to Him with the things that we're struggling with, that we're wrestling to try to control. We take them to Him, and what does He give us in exchange? Paul writes, the peace of God, which transcends all understanding. This is supernatural peace. This isn't just denial or positive thinking. This is a supernatural peace that's a gift He wants to give. That peace will stand guard over your heart and your mind in Christ Jesus. In those vulnerable moments, you are not on your own. There is a guard watching out for you, and it's God's peace. So when there's something we can't control, we say, God, this one is yours. I present it to you. I trust it to you with all of my heart. I'm not going to lean on my own understanding here. I'm going to just submit myself to you and trust you to make my path straight. It may not be a smooth path, but with your help, we'll make it through it straight. And what does God do? He gives a supernatural peace that goes beyond our ability to understand. I've known so many people going through such hard things. And you ask them, how are you doing this? How are you keeping going? And they'll tell you, I don't really know. But God's getting me through. I decided I can't handle it myself. I need Him. And He's getting me through. Is it for God alone? Here you are, you're married, your spouse is making bad decisions. You ask yourself, can I change my spouse? I'll ask you, can you change your spouse? Excuse me? No, you can't. I'll help you with that one, right? Some of you are like, I don't want to admit it. I won't admit it. I won't admit it. You can't change your spouse. Can God change your spouse? God can. Some of you are making your spouse miserable. You can do all those things, but you can't change them. Only God can. My spouse is for God alone. I will trust you, God. Can you physically heal your body or the body of somebody that you love? Maybe there's cancer. Can you go poof and it's just better? You can't do that. What can you do? You can get good treatment. You can find good doctors. You can do all those things. But can you heal in your power? No. Can God heal? Yes, he can. So God, I trust you. Can you control your kids' future? You can't. You can threaten them. You can try to manipulate or even drive them away. But you can't control their future. But can God be actively involved in their future, leading them in right and wise ways? Absolutely. What do? You do what you can do. You pray for your kids. You set an example for your children. Ultimately, though, you say, God, I trust in the Lord with all my heart. I will not lean on my own understanding. So when you feel that impulse to control, whenever you're doing that, you say, hey, first, is it worth my concern? Second, is this mine to control? And third, if not, is this for God alone? Whatever it is, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding, but in every way acknowledge him and he will make your path straight. Choose surrender over control. Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything. In that situation in your world right now, God, we present it to you. We present this person to you. We present this circumstance to you, this situation to you. We present it to you with petition and thanksgiving, knowing that your peace that transcends all understanding will guard our hearts and minds. It's exactly what Jesus did when you think about it. There in that garden, the night before his crucifixion, wrestling between control and surrender. Surrendering to the pain and suffering of the cross or showing his power by defeating his enemies. And you know what Jesus did. When he prayed in that garden, wrestling between control and surrender, that pivotal moment when he prayed this, Abba, Father, he said, everything is possible for you. Take this cup from me. Yet not what I will, but what you will. I surrender. I give you control, Lord. And aren't you glad he did? Aren't you glad he didn't try to control it when he could have? But instead he surrendered. Out of concern for you and I, he did what only he could do by taking his sin, our sin, on his shoulders and carrying it to a cross. And then walking out of that tomb 3 days later, knowing that he would walk with us through our lives as well. It was that hinge moment where he chose surrender over control. So let me ask you, aren't you tired of trying to control everything? Aren't you tired of being pulled here and there by circumstances you're dependent on? Isn't it time to root yourself in a rock, in something deeper? To surrender? To experience his peace? We want you to get a taste of that today, both here in the room in Kirkland and online. We're going to do something a little different. We're going to take a moment to just be reminded of the rest that God has for you, the peace he wants to give you. We're going to give you a chance to, in your mind, take that area you're wrestling with control-wise and surrender it to him and allow him to return and in return fill you with his peace. To acknowledge in this moment there is a God and I'm not him. But that God is good and he can be trusted. And what did that God say? He said this, come to me, all you who are weary and burdened. We have any of those here today? And I'll give you rest. So that's what we're going to do is Jeffrey and Brandon and Kiki come. I'm going to give you a chance to just say, Lord, I surrender. You know, the universal sign for surrender is just hands open, right? Hands open. So even as you sit there now or as you're watching online, here's what I want to challenge you to do. If you're serious about this, if you want this exchange to take place, I want to invite you. We're going to bring the lights down in just a second. as they begin to sing this song over us, because we're going to sing this together. They're going to sing it over us as just a beautiful moment to be reminded. I want to encourage you as you sit there at home or online to open your hands like this. So Lord, I release control. I surrender to you. And I ask that you replace that impulse to control with the peace that passes understanding. You can experience that, friends. It's real. And we want you to experience it right now. Fill me with your peace. Because he says, come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. And this is your moment. Receive that rest right now.
I see it clear now. You're all around me in every little thing.
you are loved by our Father. Whatever it is you're trying to control, friend, He'll do a much better job. You just let it go. Trust Him with it. Walk with Him through it. So God, I thank you. I thank you for that promise. We desperately need your help with this. Every impulse in us wants to control. And yet will you remind us of the beautiful freedom that comes, that we can trust you, know you. There is a God, and I'm not Him. So the things I surrender, that I take back, Lord, teach me to lay them back down day after day after day. And follow you as you make our path straight. Not always smooth, but always straight. God, I thank you. I thank you for those who right now are beginning to experience a new freedom because they're trusting you maybe at a new level they never have before. Whether it's with their souls, whether it's with their circumstance, whatever it is, I thank you that you can be trusted. And I pray you'll remind us of that your concern was for us, and you did what you could do by offering Jesus so we could have new life. Thank you for that gift. Not just the gift of salvation, but that promise that anyone who is weary and burdened can come, and you will give us rest. So I come in the name of the one who makes that possible, Jesus Christ. Amen. Well, thank you. Thank you for being part of this moment, part of this experience. We love you guys so much. Hope you'll be back next week when Eugene comes, maybe with a few fishing tips. But we would love to have you back. And speaking just for myself, I will see you in August. All right? So blessings. Take care.
Well, Northshore, thank you guys so much for joining us this week, and we hope you're just able to receive that, and as you leave from here, just find some rest this week.
Yeah, and again, don't miss out on next week. We have an awesome guest speaker who's coming, Eugene Cho, and it's going to be another great time. But we hope to see you then, same time, same place, right here at Northshore Online.